For the second part of this video, I am going to be demonstrating with Riley. So we're going to go through the manners, the obedience commands, the leash work, as well as I will have her demonstrate the bells. So she's actually behind me right here in the crate, awaiting to get out. So as I said, I'm going to pull her out. We're going to demonstrate all of these and kind of tell you our expectations, show you how she's doing with them, and maybe talk about a little some tips and tricks and different things with these behaviors to make sure that she does them at home. So with Riley, she absolutely loves to be with you. And so her biggest struggle with all of training has been distance. She wants to be right there with you, as well as she's just so excitable. So as we do this, you may see her break a few times. One, we're never going to get frustrated, but we are always going to expect her to hold these behaviors and succeed. So I'm never going to let her end on a failure. So you may see us do a couple of these 2 or 3 times right in a row just to make sure that we get a good, positive, successful repetition. Okay, with that, we are going to dive right into the manners. So the first manner I'm going to show you is our gates and our doorways. So anytime we let Riley out of the crate, we go through a closed door together. I do expect her to wait for me to release her. She doesn't need to sit, she doesn't need to lay down. She just needs to show me that she's in control and she's patiently waiting for that release. Now you can establish this with any threshold you want in your home. For us here at Puppy Steps, we do it with every closed door, every gate, and every crate that they come through. So I'm going to grab a leash and we're going to let Riley out. As I said, she's expected to wait. If she does try and step out early, I may just close that door and tell her no. I'm never going to tell her to wait or stay because this is an automatic behavior and it's an expectation. Same thing, I am going to put a leash on her and I will demonstrate this closed door right here on the side of our building. And my expectation is that she waits. I'm not going to expect her to sit or lay down, but if she tries to break, I may just pop the leash, tell her no. I may even use my leg and block her, but I'm never going to let her run through that threshold. If she does, I'm going to tell her no, and I'm going to get her and try it again. The moment that we start letting her just break, or we let her do it once and we don't go and get her and have her do it again, is the time where she thinks, oh, maybe this rule doesn't apply to this person or this place. So we're going to get her out now and demonstrate this. Okay, so you can see I thought she was going to break. She was just adjusting, but I'm always ready to make that quick correction just to give her that feedback and make sure that we're getting those positive reps. Good girl. So this is her sit to greet that I'll mention real quick. She's sitting, waiting for me to give her my attention. This is my expectation so that she's not jumping, which we'll go into that a little bit more here in a second. Good girl. But first, oh, good girl, we're going to walk outside and show you this door. So like I said, she's not able just to run through. She's going to wait for me to release her. Okay, and then we'll go out. So same expectation coming back in. She is waiting for me to release her with, okay, and then she's good to come back in. So as I said, we do that with every closed door, every gate, every crate door. You can do this with any threshold you would like. I would absolutely recommend keeping it with any door leading outside so that she doesn't learn that she can just bolt out the door, as well as crate doors. So with that, we're going to go into our sit to greet. As I mentioned before, that's what she was doing, waiting for me to put on that leash. She's actually just out of the camera doing the same thing. You'll also notice I'm going to leave this leash attached to her. So I use the leash as a management tool, as we kind of mentioned in that first video. Riley, one, because she's so small, she hates having the leash drag around. But I am going to keep it attached just so that I can kind of keep her close, which I am going to get her to come back over here so I can grab that. I would I would recommend using a lightweight leash and keeping it attached for the first couple days or couple weeks, just so that we can manage her and make sure that she doesn't get into trouble. So as I mentioned, this is her sit to greet. This is a replacement behavior for jumping, and this is my expectation anytime Riley wants to get my attention. She's gonna sit, so that way she's being polite, and then I can give her my love, my pets. So we're to a point where I am no longer giving her a treat for this behavior. For you, the first 3 days, I do want you to reward this behavior with a treat. So you're gonna do an exercise to establish this expectation with her. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna take the leash, have your treat bag, and then we're just gonna say her name, take a few steps backwards. Once she sits, I'll tell her okay and give her the treat. So that way we're just really reinforcing this behavior, because this is a big one. Nobody likes a dog that's just constantly jumping up at their legs. So we wanna make sure that we establish this greeting with you and teach her that those expectations apply. So as I said, this exercise, what it's gonna look like is I'm just gonna take the leash and say, Riley, take a few steps back. She sits, okay, good girl. Give her that treat. She doesn't have to remain sitting, but she's not allowed to get out of control. Riley. Okay, good girl, good girl. Riley. So this is a great way to get her to recognize you and to gain some relevancy with her. We consider it an engagement exercise because I'm having her engage with me and I'm rewarding her focus. So as I said, the next 3 days, you're gonna do this a handful of times every single day and give her a treat every time that she presents it. At that point, you can fade out the treats. This becomes an expectation, and this is just how she gets my attention. So for me and the trainers here, anytime that she presents this, Riley, come here. When she sits, I'll just go ahead and give her my affection and my attention. Yeah, that's a good girl, huh? That's a good girl. Now, dogs in general have a harder time respecting children and strangers. So yes, I want to build this expectation up that it can be applicable to everyone. Nope, off. But for right now, we're gonna really focus on you and your family. And I'm gonna help her out with children and strangers. So if you have little kids, when we're introducing Riley, I wanna have a hold of the leash, and then I can walk her up to them. And if she tries to jump, I'm gonna quickly correct her with just a no and a simple leash pop. Kind of how you saw me just do is she put her paws up on my knee. And with strangers, especially if I'm walking and someone's like, oh my gosh, your dog is so cute, I just wanna meet her. I like to say no. Riley doesn't need to think that every person on the street is there to meet her. And if she can't be in control, I'm not gonna allow her to meet anybody. But if you do want her to meet a person, maybe it's a friend or someone you know, I'm gonna stop like 5-6 feet before that person, have Riley do this greeting for me. So she's planted, she's sitting, I'm gonna give her a treat, and then I will allow those people or that person to come up and meet Riley. It is far easier to control her and make sure that she's not pulling or jumping when we are stationary and they are approaching us. If she gets out of control, I am not gonna let her meet that person or let that person pet her. Instead, I would tell her no, and I would walk away. Whether that's another 6 feet just to get her attention, regain her focus, and then try again, or whether that's, you know what, she's out of control, we're just gonna keep walking, and sorry, you can't meet her today. Because it is, once again, it's far more important for Riley to be in control and learn that she needs to be in control versus our own pride, I guess, in allowing every person to come over and see her and then she gets out of control. Because what that does is gonna build reactivity and she's gonna get excited and out of control every time she sees a new person. So hopefully that made sense, but that is our greeting. That's my expectation. Once again, it's a replacement behavior for jumping. If she jumps up, I'm gonna quickly tell her off or no off. As you saw when I bent down, that's really when she's more inclined to jump, is when I'm right here, because she's small, she wants to get right next to my face. So this is where she's more likely to jump, which if she does, oh, that's a good girl, that's a good girl. If she does, I'm going to quickly tell her no, and I can either like pop her chest, kind of slide her back, or I can pop that leash. But she's not allowed to put paws up on me anytime. If she continued to do it, like she tried it, I told her no, off, and then she came back and tried it again, then I would stand up and I'm going to make sure that I change my body language so I give her a clear signal that I don't like it. If she jumps up on me while I'm standing, I'm just going to bring my leg up and block her. Now she's really small, so we don't want to extend, we don't want to move too fast because I don't want to punt her across the room, but I do want to give a clear signal once again that's unacceptable and accompany that with no, off. With children, you need to make sure that you are that advocate for both the child and the dog. If she tries to jump up, I'm going to be very quick to correct her. If she can't handle being with the kids, especially right off the bat, I'm going to remove her. Once again, these next couple days are all about setting expectations, helping her understand the rules, and allowing her to decompress. So I want to put her in situations where she's going to succeed, and I want to show her that the rules are the same in your home as they are here at our facility. So with that, let's talk about handling. So we spent a lot of time handling Riley. She is going to be a dog that needs to be groomed, so it was very important to get her used to the clippers, having her nails clipped, also just picking her up, handling her ears, her face, her paws. Just want to make sure that she's not going to throw a big temper tantrum and that she's used to being put in new and uncomfortable situations. Now, if she kind of freaks out, I'm not just going to hurry and let her down. Like if she started squirming a lot right here, I'm just going to hold her still. I'm going to stop what I'm doing, make sure that she's not in a position that could be potentially dangerous. I'm not going to drop her, and I'm going to wait for her to relax. Once she relaxes, then I can continue doing whatever we were doing, or I can put her down. But I don't want her to learn that if she throws a temper tantrum, I'm going to let go of her. Oh, yeah, that's a good girl. But like if I was clipping her nail and she was really pulling against me, I'll stop clipping, but I won't let go of her paw. I'm going to make sure that she's in control. When we do put her in a position or a situation that is really uncomfortable, I want to make sure that I pay her out. I want to reward her for good, calm behavior. I want to make sure that it's a positive and she understands that she is doing the right thing by staying calm. Oh, good girl, good girl. I also want to make sure that while I'm handling her, petting her, that she doesn't think that she can put her teeth on me, so we consider it mouthing. And she would do this a little bit, but not terribly. I could see her doing this with new people as well. She tried a little bit with my kids just in the last week, and that's just she's grabbing a pant leg or trying to get attention that way. This could even count if she was grabbing a blanket and trying to chew on it, which all of these behaviors are unacceptable. So if she did that, if she mouthed on me, if she tried to put her teeth on my finger or even my watch, my sweater, I'm going to quickly tell her no. And usually I'll kind of grab their muzzle. She doesn't have a very big muzzle, so instead I'll kind of come underneath her chin and put my thumb right on top of her nose. And I'm not going to clamp down. I'm not trying to injure her at all. It's just quickly to close her mouth and say no. And then I'm going to remove my hands. I'm going to make sure that we're in control. Once she shows me that she's in control, then I can go back to petting her. I can love on her, but if she tries again, I'm going to quickly tell her no. And at this point, I remove myself from her. Even if it's for like 10, 20 seconds, which is forever in Riley time. I want to make a very heavy distinction that if you put your teeth on me, I am not going to pet you. If you are going to put your teeth on a blanket or a couch or shoes, you do not get access to that thing. So I'm quickly tell her no, remove those objects. If she is chewing on something like that, I do want to then replace it. So if she's chewing on a shoe, I'm going to give her a toy. If she wants to chew on a table leg, I'm going to give her a bully stick. I'm going to try and match the texture as much as possible, but this way I can teach her that, hey, what you're chewing on is not okay, but here is something that you can chew on. So that way we're teaching her what's appropriate to chew on and what is not. Okay, with that, let's talk about her meal times. So we've been feeding Riley, here, let me flip your ear over, at roughly 6 and 6. I do not care as much about the morning, what time that is. You can fit that into your schedule however, or whichever way is best, whatever time is best for you. However, in the evening, I do not feed her past 6. The earlier, the better. It just helps with your house training and your crate training. When we feed her, I expect her to hold a sit stay. So usually I just shake that bowl and she plops down and waits, and then she's expected to stay until I release her. I want to be able to put this bowl down and stand back up. If at any point during this she breaks, she pops up, I'm going to take that food bowl back up and tell her no and expect her to do it again. It wouldn't be unless she broke like 2 or 3 times that I would actually tell her stay. I said this should be an automatic behavior. Okay, good girl. Which she already did eat her breakfast this morning, so she may not be too interested. We have spent a lot of time working on handling her when she eats, making sure that she's comfortable with me being around her food and she's not going to get anxious or aggressive, which she's never displayed an aggressive bone in her body. But I just want her to be very comfortable with me being around her things. If she walks away from her food, then she doesn't get it. She doesn't get to just free feed. I'm going to take that food away, and she doesn't get to eat it until her next meal. So some dogs will try and control their food by just not eating it right when you want them to, and then they'll come back and graze. We don't want this because I want this relationship based on me being the leader, and the leader controls the food. So she gets plenty of treats throughout the day. My dogs only eat once a day, so don't worry if she misses a meal. As well as during the next couple days, she's going to be under some stress coming back, so she may lose her appetite. So don't stress if she doesn't eat a meal or 2. Oh, good girl. Yeah, are you a good girl? Okay. With that, you want to play with your toy? She loves to play with her toys. Now, when I'm playing with her, this is when we work on the drop it command. I want the drop it command to be very positive. I want it to be fun. I don't want her to think that that just means that I'm taking away her toys, which she keeps tripping on her leash. Here, come here. I'm going to take this leash off for a minute, and then we'll play. That way you can run around. So working on this drop it command, I just integrate myself into her play. When she lets go of it, I'm going to quickly tell her good. I'm going to take the toy, say okay, and throw it again. So that way it's really fun. Me asking for a drop it isn't this stressful thing. It means that you get to go chase the toy again. So once again, it becomes a positive. Starting out, so this is one of the commands that can be easily broken because we're asking for a drop it from clear across the room. Maybe she lets go of it, but then she gets to chew on it again. Or she tries to play keep away. So as we're building our relationship with her, as we're establishing these commands, I want to make sure that I'm close by and I'm going to give her quick feedback. I will give her a second to process, but if she ignores me, I'm going to quickly tell her no and take it away. Huh. Good girl, good girl. So I'm going to throw her toy. She gets to go and get it. Sometimes I'll even let her chew on a little bit, but then I'll just say, Riley, drop it. Good girl, good girl. Okay. So I tell her good, but she's not allowed to grab it out of my hands. She's also not allowed to continue to chew on it. If she ignored me, I would quickly tell her no and take it away. Riley, drop it. Good. So there you can see that she even kind of thought about it. But she let go of it. She looked at me, so I told her good, took it, threw it away. That's why, once again, this processing time is so important, because sometimes it might take her a second just to actually get it out of her mouth. And with any soft toy and these baby teeth, sometimes they get stuck, which I believe she still has all of her baby teeth, so she is going to be needing to chew. So it is important to give her various things to chew on. And I try and give her a variety. Now, I'm not going to leave all of them out at the same time, but I'll give her options, let her pick what she wants to chew on. Because depending on what her mouth needs, she may need something hard or something soft to chew on. Riley, drop it. No. So there, saw that she kind of ignored me. So now, where she ignored me, I'm going to make her check in. which a check-in is just having her sit and look at me, okay, and then I'll give it back to her. I never mix food and toys, so if we're doing something like this, we're playing fetch, I never give her a treat for dropping it. However, if I give her something higher value, she has something edible like a bully stick, and I'm going to take that away, then I will give her a treat in return. Or if you're outside and she picks something up that's really gross, then I'll ask her to drop it, and when she does, I'll give her a treat to reward that behavior, because she's letting go of something that may be more of a higher value to her, but it's really disgusting. So we want to teach her that she's going to get something better in return. Riley, drop it. Good girl. Good girl. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Just to show you with something that's edible, I've got a bully stick. She's kind of hit or miss whether she likes to chew on bully sticks. She likes them in her crate, but out here it just varies. Riley, drop it. Good girl. How about that? You want that? So I'm going to let her chew on that for a second, and then we'll practice some drop-its. Like I said, this is edible. It's higher value. So when she does drop it, I'm either going to give it right back to her, or I will give her a treat. Riley, drop it. No. So there, she ignored me. Now, if she continued to ignore me, I would then hold on to this stick, and so that way I can give her really quick feedback. Riley, drop it. No. So she's struggling just a little bit with the bully stick, so I'm going to work on this for a second. Good. So I'm going to give her back to her. Drop it. No. So now I'm going to continue to hold on to it. Riley, drop it. No. So that one she kind of let go, but then tried to grab it again. No. Good. I'm going to try it one more time here. This time I'm going to kind of give a physical correction at the same time, which is just me sticking my finger into her mouth to enforce the drop it. Riley, drop it. Good. Good girl. So there, once my finger kind of touched her lips, she spat it out. Riley, drop it. Good girl. Good girl. There we go. So that's kind of an example. If she was struggling with something, I would turn around and then work on it. Okay. I believe those are my manners. If I missed one, we'll just kind of talk about it at that point. But now we are going to go over her obedience commands. So we're going to start with our place command and our crate command. So those are both expected stays in a specific area. Then we'll go over our hand signals with sit, down, and stay. And then we'll talk about leave it. Okay, so the first one we're going to do, hi Riley, is I'm going to do her place command. Place. So we like to teach with these elevated beds because it's a very clear boundary. Now we've been building this command up to where we can use different objects as long as they do have a boundary, such as like rugs or a blanket, just different areas in case you need her out of the way. So the place command is my favorite command because it gives her a job to do and she's not underfoot. So I use the place command anytime someone rings the doorbell with my dogs, or maybe we're bringing in groceries and I don't want them going out the door, but I need them out of the walkway. Okay, good girl, good girl. Also, I'm not gonna give her a treat coming off of the place. Riley, place. I give her the treat when she goes on, but not when she comes off. So, I said, I love the place command. She's doing a couple minutes on there, which may not seem like a long time, and it can get even longer as you build this up and as you're consistent. But for a puppy, 2 minutes is forever. Now, as I increase the duration or the distractions, or once again, distance, that's her big one, as she continues, no, to hold it, I'll come up and treat her. Place, So that she broke, I told her no, and then I sent her back. Now I'm not going to immediately give her a treat because I don't want her to think that, oh, if I break, I get a treat again. I want to make sure that she's staying. Then I'll come up and say, good, using that good marker to tell her she's doing the right thing, but she's not finished. Now this one, I'm going to get a little bit more distance here, and then go back and reinforce it. Good. Where she broke, I want to make sure that I give her a little bit more feedback. Now, if she broke 3 times, whatever the distraction is, whatever the environment, it's too hard. And so I want to make sure that I take some of that distraction away and I break down the behavior to get a success. So whether that means that I break it down to the simplest form of just going on, telling her good, and then releasing her, and then building it back up, that's a great way to handle that situation. Okay, good girl. So the crate command is very similar. I'm just going to bring her over, crate, tell her crate. When she goes in, she gets the treat, and then she's expected to stay. Now, I'm going to leave the crate door open for the moment, just to demonstrate that she's not allowed to come out. Okay, but this one is more of a shorter duration than the place command, because if I'm expecting her to wait longer or to stay in there longer, I'm just going to close the door. Riley, crate. She goes in, good girl. And once again, me opening that crate door is not the release. Okay. Our standard to this is to actually bend down and tap on the top and tell her crate. However, where she's so low to the ground, no, crate. Okay. We quickly taught her to go in just by pointing so that I didn't have to bend down that far. Crate. So you saw that she broke. I just quickly told her no, sent her back in again, got that successful rep, okay, and then did it a couple times just to make sure that it was positive and it was successful. Yeah. Now, with the crate command, you need to practice this, especially as she's still a puppy. You don't want to only use it when you're going to lock her up, because she is going to recognize that and then build an aversion to the crate because she wants to be with you. That's also a way that you can build separation anxiety, is by locking her up and then always leaving. So if we practice this, we keep this command really positive, and we make sure that the crate is positive. Sorry. I didn't send you in there yet. Crate. Good girl. Okay. All right. With that, so we have 3 hand signals. So we have sit, which is just a little scoop up. So I use a closed fist with the fingers up. So it's a little scooping motion. The way that we taught that is we'd take food or a bowl and I'd lure it up over her nose till her hind end went down, and then I'd mark it. So that's where that hand signal comes from. Down, I take my hand flat, palm down, and off to the side. So it's down. I don't want to be right in front of her because I don't want her leaning in trying to sniff my fingers. I also want to stay upright. However, if she's struggling, then I will lower myself down. And then stay is a stop sign. So we have a stay with both her sit and her down. As I mentioned earlier, the stays, or that distance in these stays, is the biggest struggle for Riley because she wants to be right here. So if she breaks, I might just shorten it, but I always want to help her succeed. So our standard is 20 seconds. That's where she's at right now. But just know that with Riley, you might need a couple practice rounds to get to that 20 seconds, just because she wants to be with you. So let's demonstrate those. Riley, come here. So sit. So if she hesitates, I'm going to step in. There you go. Good girl. Okay. So I'm going to reward that just because she's a little hesitant. She's sniffing for crumbs and not paying attention. We may be also getting towards the back half of her attention span. Riley, come here. Sit. Down. Okay, good girl. So I always make sure that those elbows hit the ground so that she's not hovering. So now we'll do a sit, stay. Sit. Stay. Which if she offers a down, that's fine. And now she's in a down stay. She's not allowed to come up. She cannot come back into a sit. Okay, good girl, good girl. So yeah, if I put her in a sit stay and she lays down, I'm fine with that. However, if I put her in a down stay, she's not allowed to come up. Sit. Down. Stay. Okay, if she broke, I would just tell her no, and I would have her do it again. So that way, once again, I can get that positive, successful rep. Now, if she was struggling, if we did this 2 or 3 times, she continued to break. If I were to break down this behavior, if I was trying to just help her get a quick, successful one, I might come right here in front of her, have her go down, nope, down, and just give her a few seconds, and then, okay, release her and give her that treat. So that's how we had to build this one up, because she liked being right at our feet. Oh, yeah, you a good girl. Good girl. Okay. Last one, I am going to put the leash back on, just so that I have a form of management, because we're going to talk about leave it. Now, we work on leave it a lot on our walks. Anytime that there's trash or just things that I don't want her picking up. But because we're not outside, I am going to use some different treats, which is a very heavy distraction. So if she quickly tries to go for it, I want the ability to manage her while I'm working on this. Anytime that we're building something up, if I can stack the odds in my favor to help her be successful, I always am. So that way, when we're outside or we're in more of a real life situation, if you will, we've practiced enough, we've built up the expectations that then I can test her and hopefully she'll be successful because we have practiced so much. So I'm going to show her that I've got some treats here, and I'm going to dump those on the ground. Leave it. Notice that reaction. When I said leave it, she backed up immediately. Good girl, good girl. We have taught her that leave it means leave it alone. Don't look at it, don't sniff it, don't touch it. And she knows that if she does that and then pays attention to me, she's going to get something better. When we work on this with really heavy distractions, I use high value. So I'll use like some ham or some cheese, something that's really, really good, so we can build up this expectation that if you leave that alone, you are getting something far better. If we were on a walk and walking past something, I would say, leave it. Good girl, good girl, good girl. And I would continue to reward her as she leaves it alone. Good girl. If she went for it, I would quickly tell her no and pop that leash. Oh, yeah, you're a good girl. Nope, leave it. So if she, no. So there, that was my fault. I knocked that one right into you. Where I told her leave it, and then that one kind of rolled away from me and she quickly picked it up. I told her no and I took it out of her mouth. She is never allowed to get the leave it treats. Even though these are treats that we have used before with training, I can put those away and she'll get them at a different time. But if I told her leave it while it was out, she cannot ever get it. And I will pry it out of her mouth if needs be. That was too hard. I kicked it right to you. So, all right, so that's the obedience commands in that section. At this point now, we're going to do the leash work as well as our recall. So I'm going to adjust the camera angle and we'll talk about those behaviors. Good girl. Okay. So for our leash work, we're going to talk about our heel, which is what I'm doing now. We're going to talk about our long lead walks, as well as engagement and the recall. So the heel, we're going to start here. This is for you This is not for Riley. This is how we get past distractions. This is how we get from point A to point B. This is our business walk or our attention walk, because Riley's good girl. Attention is on me. This is not how you exercise your dog. So my expectation during a heel is that she stays right next to me, focusing on me. Now we are inside, so there's not a lot of distractions, but that's where I want you to start. As you start your heel, start in an environment where there are no distractions. As she pays attention to you, give her a ton of feedback. So when I start with a new puppy, it looks like this. Heel. Oh, good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Oh, yeah, that's a good girl. So I'm giving her a lot of praise, a lot of feedback. Anytime that she gets out of control, maybe she gets too far, I'll say no and give her just a quick correction. Good girl. But I'm giving her a ton of feedback. Nope. And when I stop, I expect her to stop. Good girl. So once again, this is for you. This is not for her. This is a short-term walk. So I use this anytime we're coming across a distraction. So I like to give her a lot of space. If I'm going to walk my dog, I want her to exercise. And so I would rather have her on a long lead. I would rather have her be able to explore and to burn off some energy. And then when I come across a distraction, so maybe there's a jogger or a biker, I'll reel her in, get her on the shorter lead, and then I'll ask her to heel. So a lot of times, which I'll show you the long lead here in a minute, if I have her on a long lead, I'm just going to wrap that up, get her back in this space, tell her to heel. It'll be like a minute or two, get past the distraction, then release her so she can go about her business again. Like with a puppy especially, I like to heel in short bursts. So 2 to 5 minutes is all I want. If you're extending 5 minutes, you are just going far beyond what they are mentally capable of, because the heel is such a focus-based activity and puppies have short attention spans. So start off small, start off with 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes, keep it simple, focus on positivity, give her a ton of feedback and reward her. It is hard to reward her while you walk because she is so small. However, it is so important if you want a dog that is going to heel. Good girl, good girl. But notice that focus, good girl. Also notice the leash. So I'm not having it up here because then I'm giving her too much room to get ahead of me or get in front of me, and my arm's gonna get really tired. So instead, bring that down to where it's just beginning to get tight, but there's still a little bit of slack, like that buckle starts to drop, and that way I can give her quick feedback. If I need to correct her, I literally just use my fingers, and it's just a quick little pop. No, see that? She was trying to bite the leash, but that's how quick and simple that correction can be. So that's the heel. Practice, practice, practice. Go slow. Start in your house, heeling around the kitchen or the living room, then go to the backyard, then the front yard, and progress that way. So that way you get that positive, those positive repetitions before you start implementing more and more distractions. I would not heel with her in the first 3 days to a week. So we want her to adjust, and the heel, it's one of the harder ones to transition over because it is so relationship based. She has to trust you that you are going to take care of her, because distractions, what they are some sort of threat or something that's just overstimulating to your dog. And so if she doesn't trust you that you're going to take care of her, if she hasn't built that relationship with you based on you being the leader, then she's going to get reactive. Whether that's, hey, I'm in charge, I want to go meet that other dog, or, oh my gosh, I'm so afraid, I want to go the other way. So that's why we need to build this relationship first, and we need to focus on our relationship before we implement harder and harder distractions. So that's the heel. Now I want to talk about pulling and engagement. So while you're on a walk, chances are at some point Riley is going to pull. Now she's like 5 pounds, so I don't think that she's going to pull you down the street. So if needs be, I could always pick her up if she was just completely out of control. But I want to be able to walk her. So we do not allow pulling of any kind. Even her just putting tension in that leash, I consider pulling and so I am going to correct her in some way. For me, that was just a quick little leash pressure, and she came back towards me. Huh, Riley, good girl. So if we were on a walk and she started to pull, well, let me even back up. The moment that she even notices a distraction and there's a possibility of her pulling, I'm going to do something to prevent it. So if she just noticed the distraction, started to kind of lean one way or the other, I would quickly say her name, get her attention, reward her for focusing on me. I'm always going to start with the least adversive and then progress from there. So if I can say her name or use a little kissy noise, something like that to get her attention, that is what I'm going to do. If that doesn't work, if she continues to progress towards that distraction, now she's starting to pull, I'm going to tell her no, and I'm going to give her a quick leash pop, pop, pop. So that's just very simple. It's just a, hey, focus on me so I can help change your behavior. Okay? If that doesn't work, if she continued, I would try it one more time. I'd say no, I'd get a little more firm, pop that leash. If she can regain her focus with that, that's where I'm going to stay. I'm going to use that. But if I do that twice in a row and it doesn't work, she doesn't focus back on me, at that point, I'm going to change up what I'm doing. So now I'm going to tell her no, and I'm going to stop walking. So we do not progress towards that distraction if you are out of control. You have to be focused in order to get towards or get past the distraction. So I'm going to stop walking. She focuses on me. I'll tell her, good girl, and then we'll start to walk again. If she goes back to pulling, at that point, I am going into kind of zigzag mode. So I'm going to tell her no, and I'm going to turn completely around and start walking away from the distraction at a quick pace. If you can't focus, we're moving away. We are not going to get any closer to that distraction. If she continues to kind of lag behind and pull, at that point, I'm going to move a little quicker, and I'm going to kind of pop that leash. Okay, come on, come on. And then I might turn into her, and I might turn away from her. So I don't want to yank her around, but by becoming unpredictable with my direction, back and forth, sideways, zigzagging, I am forcing her to pay attention to me. At this point, she cannot pull because if she isn't focused on me, she's kind of getting popped a little bit. So she is going to hit the end of the leash. You are going to kind of pop it. I don't want it so severe that we're knocking her off of her feet or dragging her. But I want it enough that she notices and that she has to focus on me. So those are our steps to pulling. With Riley, I don't know that we've ever had to get to where we're walking back and forth. Like, she loves us and she loves people, so she's pretty focused there. And if I have some treats and I just keep talking to her, I can get her to ignore other people pretty easy. But those are the steps to pulling. Now, at some point, you are going to encounter a distraction that is too much. All 4 of those steps won't work because she is just hyper-focusing on that distraction, and she may be at this point, come here, getting reactive. So reactivity comes in different forms. There's fear-based reactivity where she's afraid of it and she's trying to go the other way. And then there's kind of general reactivity where she's excited and she wants to get towards that distraction, or she wants to bark at that distraction. With all of these, if she becomes hyper-focused to where you can't get her attention in the area that you are, we are now going to engage with her. It is pointless to try and continue to walk. So instead, I'm going to kind of go through the same steps as pulling. First and foremost, I'm going to try and get her attention by, hey, focus on me, good girl, give her a lot of feedback that way. If that doesn't work, I'm going to get more distance between me and the distraction. So whether that's turning around and I get like 5 feet and she's able to look at me and focus, I'll only go 5 feet. But if she continues to lag and want to get to that distraction, I may go 50 feet or 50 yards, just getting as much distance as needed to help her regain her focus. Once she starts to focus on me, I'm going to put my back towards the distraction. So my body language now is telling Riley that she needs to focus on me and she does not need to worry about that distraction. If my back is towards it, I'm telling her I'm not worried. And at this point, I'm going to use, once again, a lot of feedback. I'm going to be making noises. Oh, good girl, rewarding her. Nope, come here, for simple focus. Good girl. I can also, as soon as I get her focus a little bit, start implementing the watch me command, which watch me is just to get eye contact. So if she's looking down here, watch me. If she ignores me, okay, good girl. The moment she makes eye contact with me, I reward that. If she continued to ignore me, then I would pop up on the leash. But I'm just doing whatever it takes to get her to look at me. I just want even that flicker of attention, because once I can break her focus off of something, even if it's for a split second, now I've wedged myself in there and I can get more focus and build on that. If she was just set on trying to dodge around me, at that point I would bend down, kind of enveloping her and doing whatever it takes to keep her attention on me and not allow her to bark and lunge or try and run away from a distraction. So that's the whole point of this, is just helping her learn how to be in control in uncomfortable situations. If I'm kind of filming this first thing in the morning, so nope, off. If Skylar gets here before I'm done, I'll grab her and kind of throw a clip in here of me engaging with Riley just to show you what that looks like. But I literally will do anything. I will do whatever it takes to help my dog understand that I am going to take care of them and they do not need to be reactive. They don't need to bark or whine or lunge at any other, any distraction. And the last thing I would do if she was really being a nuisance, I would just pick her up, and now she's in air jail, and we could walk away because she's nice and small and I can just walk her away. So that's engagement. All right, so Skylar just got here, so we are going to quickly demonstrate how to engage with Riley when a distraction approaches, which is going to be great because Riley and Skylar are best friends, and if Skylar's here, then I mean kind of nothing. So I'm going to be the one to engage with Riley, hey, and show you what to do to help get her to focus on you no matter the distraction. So Skylar's going to be my distraction, and I'm just going to walk through those steps that I already described. So as you can see, Riley's already focusing there, so it's not going to take much. Good girl. Okay. Good girl. Nope. Nope. Riley. So you notice initially, I'm just giving her little bits of feedback. Oh, good girl. And rewarding her when she looks at me. But still, this distraction is quite heavy for her. But we're focusing. Nope. If she continues to get distracted, now I'm going to get a little bit more distance. I don't want to get her off camera, though. And I'm going to put my back towards the distraction. Riley. Oh, good girl. So my body language is telling her that I'm not worried about it. Oh, good girl. I'm also blocking her and giving her feedback when she looks up at me. I can also implement, watch me. Oh, good girl. Okay. So it took her a second, had to give her a little bit of extra feedback, but then when she glanced up at me, I rewarded her. Good girl. Come on. Good girl. Good girl. If she couldn't handle it, if she was just really pulling to get to Skylar, I would bend down and completely block her. Oh, good girl. But we are never going to allow her to get to a distraction if she's out of control. And I'm always looking for this calm and in control behavior. Now, if this was somebody that I was going to allow her to meet, at this point she's in control, I could allow this person to come over and say hi to Riley. Or in this situation, I may just release her. Okay. And now she can go up to Skylar. So that's how we engage with them with any distraction. So obviously there are going to be distractions that are even harder for Riley. So you may have to get more distance. You may have to do more simple things, more noises, more saying her name, anything like that, just to get her to pay attention to you. But that's engagement. Now we're going to talk about the long lead. So with the long lead, this is how I exercise Riley. I'm going to grab, yeah, this one's great. This is one of my shorter long leads. This is a great length for Riley. I think it's 15 feet. So most of our walks, if I am taking her somewhere where she can't be off leash, but I want her to exercise, I'm going to put her on a long lead like this. And so that way she has space to explore and to sniff and to run. So that way I can give her this exercise, but then I still have control and I can work on her recall command. So our recall command is, Riley, come. Good girl, good girl. The moment that she turns and starts coming to me, I'm going to tell her good girl and reward that behavior. I want to encourage her to come to me by using that good marker as well as I bend down and make myself really inviting. So we practice the recall a lot, and that's a great way to build a check-in and build reliability off leash. But I'm going to practice a ton on this long lead. Once you feel like she's doing really, really well, then you can take her to an enclosed area, somewhere where you still have some form of management, but you can test this recall without having this leash. If she failed the recall on the leash, I'm just going to tell her no and reel her in. Riley, come. Good girl, good girl. Okay. So if she failed, it would look like, see if I can get her away from me one more time here. It would look like this. I would say no, and I would reel her in. Good girl. The moment she starts coming towards me, I would then switch from a no to a good girl, and really get that encouragement. If she was off leash and we were working on this recall and she hesitated or ignored me, I would quickly tell her no and start walking towards her. I'm not going to chase after her. I don't want to make it a game of catch me if you can. So instead, I'm just going to walk. I'm not going to run, and I will do different things to get her attention. If I can throw some reverse psychology like, Riley, hey, come here. Oh, good girl, I will. If I was walking towards her and maybe she just didn't realize that I had called her to come, but I got like 75% of the way there, then she notices me and she's like, oh, hey, what are you doing? And she starts to come towards me. I'm going to stop and I am going to be really positive and reward her for coming that last 25%. I am never going to reprimand my dog for coming to me, even if I had to go 95% of the way there. If she finishes the act of actually coming to me, I am going to reward it. If I am in a situation where I think that she's going to fail, I'm not even going to ask her. I'm just going to go and get her. Or I may start with some sort of informal recall, kind of that, Riley, something like that. So that's how we go get her if she's off leash. When I deliver that command though, it's Riley, so that's to get her attention, and then there's a pause, then I say come. I want to be very clear with that so that she understands what I'm asking. Okay, so that's our long lead. Like I said, this is how we like to exercise her, and I just let this drag, and then I just kind of reel it in as we go. As she gets closer, let it out as she gets further. So that way she has that room to explore and to exercise, but I still have control. So with that concludes our demonstration. So we have had a blast with Riley. She is so much fun. Come here. She is basically a princess though, so be prepared for that princess mentality of I want to rule the roost. But she is adorable, and she has been super, super fun. So if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm happy to discuss them with you, and please let us know when Riley arrives. Thanks. All right, so now everything that we just talked about and showed you with Mojo, I want to show you with Riley. So that way you can see her ringing the bells and just kind of a second visual of our expectation of the bells. So I have Riley on a leash again. I'm going to take the bells off the door. Oh, no, I want you on this side. I'm going to step on the leash, and I'm just going to hang the bells in front of her nose. I'm not going to hit her with it, and I am just going to wait. No, they're over here, not on the door, sister. Let me swing around again. So I'm going to wait, okay, for her to touch them. I'm going to do this 2 or 3 times just to help orient her, okay, to the bells, which you're going to want to do at home. You can obviously tell she knows where they're supposed to be, and she is wondering what I am doing, having them off the bells, or off the door. So I'm going to have her ring it one more time, and then I'll hang them back on the door. Ooh, close. Okay, good girl. So now, after you have her ring them 3 to 5 times in your home, we're going to hang them on the door where they will be for the rest of the time. And I'm going to reward her, okay, every time she touches them. Okay, outside. I am also going to change my wording to include the word outside. Okay, outside. Good girl. Now we are going to take her out. You can tell she's very eager. Okay, outside to ring the bells. Okay. Okay. So a couple things to note. One, the doorways, I didn't ever allow her just to run through. So I expect her to show that she is in control before I allow her to go out. When we're outside, I'm giving her, just a couple minutes to go, moving her around, periodically saying the word outside. So after you've gone through that little exercise, at this point, we're going to leave the bells on the door, and you're going to go through that schedule that we have printed out for you in the manual. So this first day, every 30 minutes. And when that timer goes off, we're just going to walk over, have her ring the bells, tell her, okay, outside, and then take her out. So that's Riley ringing the bells.